Hello, I'm Andrew with Chip Theory Games, and today I'm going to be walking you through how to build a character in the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. So you've got your character mat here, and first off, we're going to start by selecting our race. So we're going to be choosing between the Imperial and the Argonian today. I think we're going to be going with the Imperial. Big, powerful character to start off, though they do get locked down pretty quick. I'm going to set them right to the left of our character mat here. You'll notice some special things on the Imperial here. So first off, they have a special ability that only their race has that they can take in towns. They have their starting stats. Got a 4 for health, 3 for stamina, 2 for attack, 2 for magicka, and 2 for cooldown. And then they have these setup instructions that they can increase their HP, magicka, and stamina stats by 1 and gain an additional proficiency skill. But if they do that, those things all are going to have to be slotted against each other. Now, what does that mean? So if you take a look at our character mat here, here's where all of your skills and stats are going to be slotted. You are limited to 8 total skills and stats. So they are going to start bumping up against one another. So if you really want to specialize in something, you probably don't want to slot it against another thing that you really want to specialize in. Can't be perfect at everything. So the Imperial here, what they are going to be doing is giving you an immediate buff, but they are going to have to immediately be slotted against from one another. We are going to take that buff though. It's too good of an offer to turn down. That's so many stats. So we're going to increase our HP. So got this starting little HP token here. It reads 4. So we just flip it over to 5. We just slot that right here. And then to take max benefit, we're going to want to pop the stamina across from that, which states 3 here. But since we are taking advantage of the setup, we would slot 4 into our mat. And then we're going to be placing our attack and our magicka across from one another. So magicka is going to get a 3 buff, or a buff by 1 up to 3. And then we're going to get 3 attack / proficiency. Everything's in flux. Dice here. So you can see there's immediately some butting up against each other here. So if we wanted to level up either of these, we'd have to detrain the other. And when you detrain, you aren't going to get that experience back. So something to keep in mind. I do think it's a good thing to start here, though. So those are all our stats here. So now we've got a cooldown of 2. You're going to take one of your little peg trackers here and place it into your cooldown meter here. So this character starts with a cooldown of 2. You might be asking, what's the cooldown meter? So that is where dice that you roll are going to be placed. Each battle, you're going to start with fatigue equal to your cooldown, and then any dice that you roll in combat, for instance, say I rolled 2 attack dice, that's great. They're placed in there. At the end of your first turn, you'd remove these from your cooldown track. These would move down. And then at the end of your next turn, these would be removed from your cooldown and returned to your mat to be rolled in future turns. Some additional things to keep track of on your character mat here. This is the tenacity meter. It starts off at 0, and then every time you roll a miss in combat, a miss is this symbol here, you're going to track it down here. Your misses can be spent to use your class abilities. So we're going to be choosing our class here. For our big, strong, fighty warrior, notice how I said warrior. I think we're choosing the warrior class. We're going to pop the warrior class here right next to our character. And then notice these symbols look a bit like our tenacity or our miss symbol. So you can spend this much from your tenacity meter to activate this ability. And you can use any number of these abilities in a turn. For instance, you could go knife throw, quick draw, wrestle. You could not, however, use the same ability multiple times. So you couldn't go knife throw, knife throw, knife throw, but you could go knife throw, quick draw. Your class also has an innate ability that just gives you a buff in general. So our warrior here adds a free proficiency skill, so one of these dice, to your first attack each turn. It's pretty good, gets you some extra attack. Other things to keep track of on your mat here, your excess XP counter. Any XP that you gain that you don't want to use immediately, are going to be tracked right here. And then your attack forms. This one's currently going to be changing, but we've got 2-handed, 1-handed, archery, and magicka. And I was going to choose your preferred form at the beginning of any battle, and then you can gain a light fatigue into your cooldown track to change that form during battle. The last bit about building your character out at the beginning here is you're going to be choosing a skill. Let's see, we've got 1-handed, sneak, restoration, destruction. I mean, our person looks like they like to hit things and not necessarily with magic. So I'm probably going to choose one-handed here. So along with that little sheet, we are going to get this little mini chip. And this chip can be slotted onto our mat in any place. This restriction was only to start off, so it doesn't have to be placed across from anything. So we're going to pop it in, but we're just going to make sure that this little line on the chip is pointed at level 1, because this skill line is at level 1. We can level it up to level 2, level 3, level 4 by visiting a town with a trainer who is better at that skill than us. So if we went to a town with a level 2 trainer, we could pop that up to level 2. And how you're going to read your skill sheet here, currently, we only have access to level 1 dice. Level 1 dice in the one-handed skill line are sword and board die. There are 7 of those dice to purchase. The faces on those dice are outlined here. So 4 black pips means there are 4 of this die face on that dice. 1 black pip means there's 1, and then this means there's 1 miss on the die. There are 2 of the level 2 dice for this skill line, and then there's level 3 dice, level 4 dice. Get there eventually. We're going to do a lot of training. We get a big, strong warrior character. We're also going to get 2 of our level 1 dice from this skill line to start. You just pop those into your mat next to the chip. And then finally, I'm going to take our chip here, select it to our selected character art. Should fit in right there. That's great. You're going to take health equal to your health stat, so our starting stat of 5. Place that under your chip. There's your character. And the final bit is how you're going to actually be using your experience to level your character up, build this mat out. So how you can read experience costs. There are just all of these numbers on the top of your mat. What could they mean? So if you're trying to level up stats from the left side of your mat, you're going to be using the white numbers to indicate how much those costs are. If you're leveling up skills or stats from the right side of your mat, you're going to be using the black numbers. So, for instance, if we wanted to buy more of these one-handed dice, we'd use these costs up here. So this would cost 2 to buy this dice, 2 to buy this dice. If we wanted to level up our health, we would just spend 1 experience and be able to pop a little red thing in there. And then we'd also get an additional health to track that health gain. And that's how characters are built in the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. Make sure to head over to the campaign page to see what all the races are that are going to be included in the base game, what all the classes are. Did we get your favorites? Did we get the skill lines you wanted? I hope so. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you understand how characters are built, and we will be back to explain all of the other facets of this giant, awesome game.